Charlie Kirk believed courage and conviction still matter. He wanted every Christian to stand firm in their faith, no matter the cost. That's why the Voice of the Martyrs is offering you a free copy of Extreme Devotion. Inside are true stories of Christians in places like China, Iran, and Nigeria who refused to deny Jesus Christ, even in the face of imprisonment or death. Charlie's passion was to see that kind of faith in all of us. Get your free copy today at vom.org/Charlie. That's vom.org/Charlie. Heather, I sent you two questions over the holiday weekend, and you wrote back very graciously, pretty quickly. And this came off the back of this story in Chicago. The first question was, do we have an under-incarceration problem? And I was, of course, inspired by Lawrence Reed, who set a woman on fire, and then we find out there was 40 prior arrests, or maybe even 72. I'm seeing conflicting reporting there on just how many times this gentleman had been arrested. And of course, there was the Irina Zarutska story out of Charlotte, who was stabbed to death, actually just before Charlie was assassinated. And it was a huge story then. And she was just doing public transportation. So two stories like this where we had multiple incarcerations. Do we have an under-incarceration problem, Heather McDonald?
Yes. We absolutely do, Andrew. The criminal justice system is set up by our elites, values the freedom of criminals and deranged people over the safety of the law-abiding and the hardworking. Every one of these abominations was wholly predictable. These deranged maniacs who have taken the lives or nearly destroyed the lives of this poor woman who was chased around a subway with gasoline on her until the maniac was able to light her on fire. They all have long criminal histories. The quality of their criminal history suggests people that are absolutely in the realm of psychosis, schizophrenia. They were predictable, and yet they're back on the streets. Why? Because the overall theme in our criminal justice system for decades now, Andrew, has been we would rather not incarcerate the people who should be in prison than incarcerate criminals in a fair, law-abiding, constitutional manner if doing so would have a disparate impact on Black criminals. And as a result, we are way under-incarcerating, we're decriminalizing, and the public officials who wink at these assaults are all complicit. The criminal liability does not rest exclusively on the criminals themselves. It is a statistical certainty. I'm here in New York. There are walking time bombs. Anybody can identify them visually. These deranged, lunatic drug addicts, predominantly Black, who are walking the streets, muttering, gesticulating on the subways, threatening people. It is a certainty that in the next week or two, somebody will be pushed or stabbed by one of these. And our politicians do everything but focusing on this. It's an abomination.
And, we talked at the end of last week, just the sort of, not just the cost of direct crime, but the cost on people, just the sense of disorder in our lives. I'm sure you've seen this where, for example, because we're so afraid to actually police these people, basic things, you see people jump turnstiles all the time in a lot of cities because they decide to not enforce that, or even really minor ones. The classic one that people will complain about all the time online is people who loudly play music or do other overtly, performatively disruptive things on public transportation.
But it's bigger than that too, because we've talked about on this show, Heather. It was another insight from Blake that crime has an impact on housing affordability because there's fewer and fewer neighborhoods that are acceptable to live in for families, and then they have to break the bank just to get into a neighborhood with a good school or that's not crime riddled, or that they have to worry about walking with a stroller on the sidewalk.
Or how many people just choose not to take a job where they might be the most qualified person, or where it might be where they're most productive because that job is in a dangerous part of the city, or it's in a city I just don't want to live because it's so unpleasant. There's so much friction in American life, and it all is downstream of we just refuse to let our cities be safe, orderly, clean, and pleasant.
Yes. And so
Well,
go ahead,
we
Heather.
just
Yes.
elected a socialist mayor in New York, and the sky is going to fall in. But one of his ridiculous planks was government-run grocery stores in every borough because allegedly we have a food affordability crisis. I'm very skeptical of the claim. But if we do, the problem is that stores move out because they can't handle the shoplifting. There was a Target that moved into East Harlem to great fanfare around 2015, I think, had exquisitely multicultural offerings, and it couldn't handle the retail theft, and so it left, and that happens again and again. So yes, crime affects cost of living, it affects insurance costs, but it is above all a psychic cost, and that, again, all of this is preventable. It's all preventable.
It's preventable by closing Rikers, right? Because I know he's promised to do that, right?
Right, exactly. We need more capacity. We certainly need more mental institutions. So it's not just a question of locking up the sort of pure criminal. It's also a question of locking up the deranged. If you combine mental illness and drug addiction, you have a very, very high rate of violence. Again, any politician who changes the subject after the burning of the Chicago woman, after the stabbing of Irina Zarutska, is complicit in murder.
So this is something else that because I was tweeting about this and I was seeing people's reaction, and one of the things that kept coming up repeatedly is that we actually have a capacity issue, and it struck me, Heather, that there has been I would say a propaganda war waged against the prison system. Right now, some of it there might be valid critiques embedded somewhere in there. Right, there might be grains of truth in this. But the prison system, all I ever see on Netflix is like, look at this terrible prison, how they treat people and all this. Meanwhile, they got cell phones and they got they're smoking cigarettes and all this stuff's going on. They can watch TV.
The number of prisoners who seem to have internet access is quite high.
They're coordinating tweets? Gang activity on the streets from some. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is that there has been a coordinated assault on the prison system. I don't think we build them anymore. I don't think we're expanding capacity. And so even if we wanted to arrest and throw away the key with some of these guys, we don't have enough space. Is this correct?
It's absolutely correct. Prison remains a lifetime achievement award for persistence in criminal offending. You have to work very hard as a criminal to get a prosecutor and a judge to agree on sending you away for a long time. Inevitably, people are given community services, probation. They're supposed to be monitored. And when they're out there without being incarcerated, they go on to commit more crimes. People don't stop all of a sudden. It would be great if we could rehabilitate people in the community. We don't know how to do it. The criminals are created by decades of poor parenting, the failure of socialization. And after they're arrested for their sixth robbery or assault, they don't suddenly stop offending. The thing that works is prisoner menopause. People age out of crime, but that's about the best thing we can do. So getting incapacitation is an absolute known virtue and success of the prison system. If we don't know how to keep people from reoffending in the community, my view is you don't get 2 bites of the apple, 3 bites of the apple. We've got to bring it down much. Again, the purpose of government is to protect the law-abiding. It's not to protect criminals. We have gone through a 300 or 180-degree sea change in the way our government officials think about themselves. They think about themselves as protecting the allegedly marginalized against that horrible majority. No, that's not their role. Their role is to protect people who respect the rights and lives of others so they can go about the glory of commerce, of self-actualization. We don't elect the government to be self-professed advocates for the criminals and the dysfunctional. That's not their role.
Heather, I think you're articulating this feeling of the upside down world that so many Americans feel like they live in so well and with such moral clarity. And this is why we love having you on the show. It does feel like the entire system somewhere along the lines, the last 20, 30 years, tweak by tweak by tweak, became rigged against people that do the right thing, that wake up, that go to work, that shower before and after work, that send their kids to school, that pay their taxes and follow the law. Meanwhile, it's been tweaked in favor of these people that murder, Arena on the train, or set people on fire. Who, by the way, you're talking about criminal menopause. That guy was like 50 and he was still doing this stuff.